Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another Dorked reaction. This one is, well, Nicole's mother worries me. Nicole's... and this one, is obviously different than the other Dorked character analysis that I've watched, because at the time of recording, we haven't actually met Noelle's mother yet. We've met her dad, he's in the hospital. We know she has a sister who's disappeared, and we know that her mom is the mayor of the town. Other than that, we know nothing. I know that there were some people talking about how Queen could be a representation of her mother, given that, they were there for the cyber world, dark world's creation, her and Noelle and Birdley. But I really don't know. I mean, it very well could be. I mean, that would make sense, narratively, it would rhyme and all that. Especially in the beginning of chapter 2 with Queen being so controlling and stuff like that. So, at this point, anything could be possible. So, but we also don't know whether, with her mother potentially being so controlling or neglectful or whoever, is that just, how she is? Or is it more stress from her, being the mayor of a town? All these questions will hopefully be answered later on. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure we should just probably get this started then. So, yeah, of course, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day, and yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
Deltarune is a mysterious game that captures the imagination.
Yeah, it definitely
does. From
does.
the relationship with the player to the disappearance of Des and Ralsei's unclear intentions, there's a lot to digest, discuss, and debate. Yet one topic I feel gets overlooked is not Noelle herself, nor her missing sister, nor even whether Rudy will live or die, but her mother.
Jeez, yeah, I completely forgot about
may
that.
May not start with C, who otherwise remains an enigmatic presence in both chapters. But though we may not have seen her, we've learned quite a bit about the mayor and her worrying relationship with her daughter. So in this video, I'd like to discuss what little scraps of information we've been granted, as well as what it might mean for Noelle, the cast, and Deltarune as a whole. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 of Deltarune sets the foundation for what we know about the mayor. She's established as busy, cold, and lacking in charisma.
Yeah.
She works hard, with zero opposition, so she's remained the mayor for a long time. She's described as icy, and even keeps the AC on full blast. This chilling vibe sets up Noelle's ice-based magic in Chapter 2 quite well as her habit of standing in front of the refrigerator at the grocery store. More interestingly are the words of the hand receptionist. If you want to see her, try causing a terrible crisis. This suggests that when we finally do meet the mayor, it'll be when the story takes a darker turn. This could even shed some light into Chris's intentions at the end of Chapter 2, though we'll have to wait and see how that develops before drawing too many conclusions.
Oh god, you know what I remember? I remember seeing this years ago at this point, but I don't know if they were serious when they said it or not, but I remember, I think it was on the Undertale Reddit or something, but somebody suggested the idea that out of all the monsters that could potentially be Noelle's mom, her mom was, oh god, what's his name? It's that one deer enemy in Snowden that has the Christmas decorations on its antlers. Oh, what was it called? Trot. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and so if I can find it again, I'll put it in the video. But I remember they made a mock-up family picture. So you have Noelle, her dad Rudy, and then you have Trot there, and just the juxtaposition of the three of them, just it was so weird. I wonder if they're actually going to do something like that.
There are a few other places that give us insight on the mayor. At the end of Chapter 1, Noelle lost the key to the mansion, and when pressed on why she doesn't ask her mother for help, Noelle gets uncomfortable, mentioning how her mom doesn't like being bothered at work. She insists it's fine and that she'll just go spend time with Caddy instead, but this already sets a worrying tone for her relationship with her mother that only grows worse in Chapter 2.
I completely forgot about that, yeah. Which also, another question. Does that mean if they live in a mansion, Is that, like, just the mayor's mansion? Like, whoever's the mayor moves in? Like, you know, how, like, the president of the United States, or, like, I guess for Canada, the prime minister, they have, like, designated dwellings that they move into when, you know, they get elected. And I played enough SimCity to know that, you know, the mayor's house is a thing you can put down. Or, alternatively, are they just stinking rich? Because, I mean, at least with Noelle, from what we've seen, she's very, you know, very clean, very proper. I mean, I could very much see her being, like, the stereotypical, like, prim and proper daughter of a very rich family. I mean, who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, her father, Rudy, is in the hospital, but but he's in, like, a completely isolated room. I know that even up here in Canada, those, where, like, you know, you don't have to pay for healthcare entirely, like, I know those are a bit tricky to get.
There's also the eviction notice in Asgore's flower shop, berating him for giving away free flowers instead of selling them. The tone is blunt, harsh, and uncompromising.
Yeah,
which fits well
definitely.
with the descriptions of the mayor from other NPCs, as well as Noelle's personal intimidation. Interestingly, it's signed with C, which has led many to believe the mayor's name starts with C, which led to popular guesses like Clarice and Carol. However, this is only a popular hunch. We don't know for sure if this is the mayor, but given the looming presence, it's a reasonable assumption to make.
You know, out of the two of them, I mean, I know Clarice, you know, obviously, you know, like the whole connection to Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer and stuff like that, which, you know, Rudy, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. But I kind of like Carol a bit more, because it's not as subtle, I can just say. Because, I mean, because, to be completely fair, it's been a fair few years since the last time I watched the Rankin Bass Rudolph special. And I, you know, sometimes forget what her name was, like his crush in the movie. So I think, like, of course, like, you have the father being Rudy, and he even has the red nose, so that's, you know, kind of easy to get. But alternatively, Clarice is a bit more of a hidden sort of Easter egg of a name. So I think Carol might work just being an Easter egg or being a reference that's easier for people to get on, like, a first-time viewing. I mean, then again, I'm not the one creating the game, so who knows.
Beyond that, we didn't have much to work with until Chapter 2 presented some interesting new content, which brings us to a certain character who certainly knows how to make an entrance.
Queen!
Queen is the Chapter 2 antagonist, and one many have viewed as a parallel to Noelle's mother. There's a great video called The Universal Mother Theory by Cookie Autumn that I'll link above that goes into great depth about how Queen could represent mother figures for multiple party members in the chapter.
I think I've heard of that video before. Did I do a reaction to it? No, I don't think I did. I think that was going to be a video I think that was a video I was going to do a reaction to at one point, but I completely forgot, so I guess I'll add that to the list then.
But for the purpose of this video, I'd like to zero in on the most obvious choice, Noelle.
Noelle, yeah,
how
definitely.
Queen might represent her complicated relationship with her mother. At a glance, it's easy to see the similarities. Queen is controlling, overbearing, and tries to make Noelle do things against her will. Noelle also has extreme difficulty saying no to her, having been roped into being Queen's peon due to her timid nature. But one thing that's clear from the start is that Queen is not a literal copy. She's very goofy, bombastic, and far more emotional for one. She has a loud, over-the-top presence like a cartoon villain, and while she is very controlling with her use of wires and her desire to make Noelle's face into a robot one and keep her as a peon...
I think the robot face, right. Oh god, I remember that. Why do you want to do it? 'Cause it'd be cool!
She is simultaneously trying to impress Noelle as well as Chris through grand displays of her power and quirky little things like dropping an arcade cabinet out of the blue, blasting her mixtape, and creating rooms tailored to each Lightner's preferences. Queen is not necessarily a good person, as she enslaves the wires and later Birdly, is willing to endanger teenagers to get what she wants, and disregards the agency of those around her. However, she is also acting out of a genuine desire to make Lightners happy, to make Noelle stronger, and expand the Dark World to everyone's benefit. She values Chris as a trucie, was moved by Noelle's sad searches, and while she pressures Noelle to unleash her full power by threatening her friends, all this paints a more layered picture of a mother figure than what we know of the mayor so far.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, is Queen really a parallel to the mayor's true personality and intentions, or is she a rose-tinted parallel at best? Noelle's arc of standing up for herself and a queen does mirror a path that Noelle will need to tread eventually with her real mother to find happiness. And yet Queen in many ways feels like the inverse of the mayor. She's so doting that it's suffocating, while the mayor is distant. She's expressive and fun, while the mayor is cold and stern. She's incredibly outgoing and seems to enjoy the attention her status grants her and is very eager to impress. The mayor, on the other hand, remains within her office, hates being interrupted, and her presence is felt solely through word of mouth so far. The difference is night and day. That's not to say the comparison is without merit. After all, many see King in Chapter 1 as a foil to Susie, her worst traits amplified. Knowing that Susie is a new girl in town who seemingly has a poor relationship with her parents...
Wait, I'm sorry, what was that about her being the new girl in town? I don't remember seeing that. So that new girl I keep talking about, she really, really, really hates Chris. And you know what's weird? Literally only Chris seems oblivious to this. Or, no. Are they oblivious? They're literally getting bullied, but do they just not care? Then again, who knows what Chris is thinking. I just don't get why they don't tell their mom. Or better, switch seats with me, like I keep saying all. I guess they just don't want to be at the front of the class, but she doesn't ever bully me, even when there'd be a huge opportunity to, so come on, switch seats. Everybody would be safer that way, X. Like, you're not going to believe what happened today, lol. After the bell rang as usual, everybody rushed to see who could get out of class first. I stayed behind a bit to help Alfie's put away some books, some look ridiculous, and look for some mysteriously missing supplies, X. Meanwhile, Chris was still asleep, face down on a totally blank notebook page, and for some reason Susie hadn't left earlier either. She was just sitting there staring at Chris's head, sniffing it? I wonder if she likes scented candles? Eventually, I started to leave too. I even almost said bye this time, but I was a bit worried about Chris, so I stayed outside the classroom to, watch. I had to stay totally out of sight, holiday family ninja style. Oh, this is Noelle. Since Susie didn't seem like she was going to do anything until she made sure I was gone. After a while, Susie got up, knocked her chair over. She jumped onto Mrs. Alfie's seat and put her shoes up on the desk, getting dirt everywhere. She grabbed the apple Birdley had given Alfie's a few days ago, you know, the ones she literally she's never eaten, held it up and started talking. Hey idiot, hey idiot, Chris didn't look up. Hey idiot, Chris still didn't look up. Where is this from? I've never seen this before.
In town, who seemingly has a poor relationship with her parents, is largely friendless, and spends the initial part of Chapter 1 trying to be strong and intimidating, and then comparing her to King, who not only quotes her verbatim at one point, but feels resentment at being abandoned by the Lightners, and is willing to stomp all over others to retain his fragile position of power. Well, one can certainly argue that while Queen is not exactly like Noelle's mother, she still serves a purpose as a thematic parallel and foil, while being an independent character. Much as King accentuates many of Susie's worst traits, we could then take those rose-tinted glasses off and see Queen as a more symbolic analog to Noelle and her mother's relationship. We know that Noelle gets high grades and performs well in sports. It's also entirely possible that the mayor holds her to high standards. She could very well want Noelle to live up to her potential and is simply less doting and smothering about it. However, I advise caution in using Queen as a template for the mayor's character, just as I advise caution in assuming everything about Noelle and Queen's relationship is identical to that of Noelle and her real mother. No, I believe that for now, we had best turn our attention elsewhere to grasp the mayor's personality and character. Intimidation and abuse.
Ah, yes.
Luckily,
well,
the
absolutely
second
wonderful
section of the game provides a lot more context, not only to the mayor as a character, but to her relationship with Noelle, which has further been accentuated by the Spampton sweepstakes.
Oh, that's where this is from? I need to get around to watching that video. Oh.
Firstly, there's Alfie's and the NPCs in the police station. Alfie sets the tone by mentioning how, with the mayor around, the police are just eye candy, that she's got such a good track record in stomping at crime that you could even argue that the police get in her way. When you add this to Asgore's removal from the force, it does raise some interesting questions about his relationship with the mayor, and if perhaps they were at odds over something, such as deaths and her disappearance. I touched on this in my recent video, which you can find above and in the description. But to add to the mayor's iron grip on crime, the wet-nosed bandits talk about how they tried to rob the Holiday Mansion only for a terrifying figure to descend upon them, sending them fleeing right into the jail cell. Given every other descriptor thus far, it's safe to assume that this too is the mayor, and that she is a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, okay.
The first truly worrying sign comes when you walk into the hospital room in the normal route. Noelle laments about her lack of healing magic. When she says, "It wouldn't just be me and Mom," she looks genuinely heartbroken and scared. Though Rudy tries to comfort her about her mom, he trails off, instead reassuring Noelle that he'll be on his feet again soon. This doesn't bode particularly well, especially when you consider the dialogue that comes after she leaves, where Rudy says that while Noelle seems like she has it all, her mother is tough on her. He may balance it out normally, but without him, there's this unspoken undercurrent of worry for Noelle's well-being and safety.
Oh, God. Yeah, that... I'm going to be completely honest. This sounds like something not even like family counseling would be able to solve. I'm predicting that most likely if this gets fixed at all, because we know, families have broken apart before, Asgore and Toriel and stuff like that. It could very much be that this either ends with like the entire Dreamer family somehow ending up in like a dark world, and then hopefully solving or at least working out some of the issues there, or like some sort of divorce if Rudy gets better, because that's not a healthy family right there.
I think I may have an idea of where Toby is going with this, though it's far from pleasant. Rudy's inability to truly comfort Noelle about her mother, coupled with Noelle's fear of said mother, has undertones of abuse. While Rudy is open, loving, and shares interest with his daughter, the Ice Palace Glacier page of the Spamton Sweepstakes shows that this side of the mayor existed even in Noelle's childhood. Noelle mentions being scared to cry or make too much noise while gaming at night in fear of her mother unplugging the console. Now you could view this as a concerned parent trying to turn off the thing that is distressing her child, but Noelle was just as scared to yell with excitement later. This paints Miss Holiday's actions in a far more controlling light. The Noelle expressing her emotions in such a loud fashion is frowned upon. There are other worrying signs too. In the city, Noelle mentions how Des wanted to take her somewhere far away, like Cyber City. It's possible, but not conclusive, that Des, as the older sibling, saw the red flags in her mother and wanted to take Noelle away from it all, if only for a short time. But I must concede that it's just as possible that Des's disappearance caused a shift in the mayor's personality. It could just simply have caused the mayor to become colder, more intimidating, and someone who crushes crime with an iron fist and refuses to see anyone unless it's a real emergency.
Yeah, granted, the disappearance of one of your children... you're definitely not getting out unscathed from something like that, especially if it was just left completely as a complete mystery of what actually happened to them.
Add that to Rudy's illness, and she could be hurting deep down. She's already lost one daughter, and her husband could die, and she's coping by burying herself in work and taking it out on Noelle. As I mentioned in my previous Des video, some have even speculated that the mayor is the Roaring Knight, acting out of a desire to A. save her husband, B. find Des, and is acting out of a sort of Faustian deal with the devil. As a quick addendum, the mayor being the knight would actually make Queen's motivations advanced foreshadowing. If you look at her dialogue in the Giga Queen fight, of Noelle and everyone living free of pain and suffering, one could potentially see the mayor's motives through that, but this is still just a guess.
I had not heard of that theory before. It would be interesting. Though, that being said, we could be... Okay, actually, you know what? I'm putting $5 down on this now. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it if I lose. But I'm calling it now. There might be a really small chance we're just completely out of left field. It turns out that Sans is the knight for, some reason. Who knows? It could just be really weird. For all we know, it could literally just be he's doing it just for fun. Who knows?
It's a compelling idea to be sure, and would certainly lend itself to a future confrontation with Noelle and her mother. But right now, it's just too soon to say. We do know that the mayor is preparing for the festival, and while some have speculated that this festival will overlap with the Roaring, that too is pure speculation.
Yeah.
But while the fantastical and tragic justifications have their place in the discussion, I don't think they really excuse everything. Because regardless of reason, Noelle is scared of her mother. Noelle has been conditioned to be a doormat who can't say no to anyone but her father and Chris. That eagerness to please others is often a sign of abuse and neglect. When you're repeatedly faced with harsh expectations, especially from loved ones, it's easy to fall into the habit of saying yes, keeping your head low, and going out of your way to make others happy, even if it's to your own detriment. The Weird Route shows this in how, while Noelle is apprehensive, she ultimately cracks under the pressure and proceeds down this horrific path, all in the pursuit of strength.
Yeah.
When she breaks from the trance briefly to warn Birdley and does question the voice that gave her the commands, and does want to get to the bottom of the things, she's still intimidated by Chris, which shows our abuse took its toll on her. The mayor, of course, isn't making Noelle kill anyone. We know very little about how she treats Noelle at home, other than her being...
I mean, you say that, but you never know. No, of course not. At least I hope not.
...being tough and distant. While Rudy supports Noelle's romantic endeavors and shares her interest in gaming, the mayor would sooner turn those games off. A parent's job is to support and provide for their children, yet the mayor would rather work rather than support her daughter at a time where they are both hurting from Rudy's illness. It's entirely possible that the mayor copes with her grief and fear of her husband's passing with her work, but that doesn't change the fact that Noelle and her mother need to communicate. I do not think Toby needs to write the mayor as a villain. I think there's room for the two to confront each other in a Dark World setting, laying the mayor's true feelings bare and showing there's another side to her. But if Toby does commit to the abusive parent and unhealthy marriage angle, I would certainly not complain, for it would be a bold storytelling decision that might make for a relative narrative to many players. Not all parents are good. Not all marriages are healthy and happy. And
No, definitely
and
not.
Undertale have both already tackled incredibly heavy themes, so this wouldn't even be out of place. Lest we forget, Kara took their own life. Fly would later attempt the same thing, even if he got cold feet in the end and reloaded.
Yeah.
Toriel struggles with alcoholism, as confirmed by the alarm clock dialogue, and Asgore, Alphys, and Sans can all be read as suffering from some form of depression. Beneath the bright and wacky exterior, Toby's games have often delved into heavier themes, even as far back as the Halloween hack. And Deltarune already deals in much more explicitly dark tones with Rudy's
No, I'm sorry, just the juxtaposition of, like, this really heavy dialogue, and then you're just seeing potassium and bouncing cars off one another. Beautiful. Beautiful, Dorked. Perfect.
illness, the themes of existentialism and control with Chris, and everything involving Spampton, the Broken Dreamer family, and so much more. Undertale released in 2015, and I can absolutely see Deltarune growing up with its audience, so to speak. But this is all conjecture for now. You might wonder how Rudy's love of the mayor factors in, and I would say it really depends on the direction Toby is going. Marriages are not always happy and stable, and there are times where one partner in a relationship may not even be fully aware of the red flags, or is willing to excuse them. I don't think Rudy is a pushover, or that he's remotely on board with how Noelle is being treated, but I also think it's much harder for him to do anything about it when he's in the hospital. And because it's entirely possible he will die, I truly do worry for what this could mean for Noelle and her mother, because if Rudy dies, I can only see their relationship getting worse before it gets better. But who knows, perhaps Toby will surprise us by giving Rudy a recovery plot twist. Perhaps there is hope for the Holiday family, whether he lives or dies.
Or maybe there'll be some sort of way that we, the player and like Chris can help. Like, you never know. A future chapter might have, I don't know, maybe like a Dark World form in the hospital or something. And like how, there was the Weird Route, or Snowgrave, whichever you want to, I think officially it's called the Weird Route. But like how there was the hidden Weird Route in chapter 2, and in whatever chapter May, like the hospital happens in, like maybe they'll be the equivalent of like the extra good route, where doing random, doing seemingly random and unconnected things will end up opening up a path where you can actually start and actually let Rudy live. Like, oh god, I can just imagine the talk online on like Reddit and stuff like that if something like that actually happened. Oh, that'd be so fun. They'll also wondering, like, would that conflict with the message of the game at all? We'd have to see.
While Rudy died in Undertale's world, to be fair, Gerson is dead in Deltarune, yet lives in the previous game. Asriel died in Undertale, yet is alive and well in Deltarune.
Very much so,
We
yeah.
cannot, nor should we, assume that everything will directly parallel Undertale. One pervading element throughout Deltarune has been a state of things feeling off to what we know, from Bratty and Caddy's rivalry to Undyne and Alphys being relative strangers. As for what I hope will happen
Yeah,
with the mayor,
definitely.
that's difficult to say when there's so much of the story up in the air. But given what we do know, I would really like to see Noelle put her foot down. I'd like to see Susie, Chris, and all their other friends show solidarity with Noelle when facing her mom. Just as Noelle was able to stick up to Queen, I'd so desperately crave for her finding the conviction to set her own boundaries and live her own life. And I think that, in a way, Noelle's relationship with her mom could mirror Chris's relationship with us. Perhaps in the normal route, Noelle is able to mend that relationship and find happiness, and we are able to form a healthy partnership with Chris, while in the weird route, things take a far darker turn.
Oh, jeez.
For now, I'd like to ask what you all think of the mayor, her relationship with Noelle, and where you think his story will go. Comment among each other, and let's get the discussion going. We've reached the end of the year, and
Oh god, that is always the thing. It's always trauma that's passed down the generations, isn't it? I mean, yeah, that's one of the how would you call it? One of the joys of having a game like Deltarune be, well, not technically, being incomplete for so many years. We have so many loose ends. And like, everybody's going absolutely nuts, pulling every little thing, and the only thing that's really satiating them is like Toby and his team like releasing little dregs of information and like in emails and the alarm clock and like spammed in sweepstakes, which again I know I still need to do a reaction to. But yeah, it's just I cannot wait for Chapter 3. I hope that Chapter 3 and 4 are released soon. But yeah, that'll be it for now. So yeah, of course, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And yeah, with all that out of the way, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.